Have you ever tried to remember something important, only to find the memory has slipped away? Maybe it was a name, a special date, or where you left your keys this morning. We all experience this. It's just a normal part of being human. But what if it wasn't? Just for a moment, imagine a world where you never forgot a single thing. Every face, every word you've ever read, every conversation you've ever had would be stored in your mind perfectly, forever. It sounds a bit like a superpower, doesn't it? The ability to recall any moment with perfect clarity, like replaying a film in your head. This idea of a perfect memory is honestly fascinating to think about. It's something we often see in films or read about in books, where a character has this incredible ability. But have you ever truly considered what that would mean for our everyday lives? It would change everything, from the smallest daily tasks to the very way we feel and interact with each other. Would it make life easier, or would it introduce a whole new set of problems we can't even imagine? It's a question that makes me wonder about the very nature of what it means to be us. Let's embark on a little thought experiment together. We are going to explore this extraordinary possibility. We'll look at how our memories work right now and what makes them so beautifully and sometimes frustratingly imperfect. Then we will step into this imagined world of total recall. We will consider the amazing benefits it could bring to our learning, our work, and our personal lives. But we will also look at the darker side, the potential challenges and heartaches that might come with a memory that never, ever lets go. Join me on this journey into the mind. We'll explore the light and the shadow of a flawless memory. It's a topic that touches on so many things I care about: learning, personal growth, and how we connect with one another. Is the ability to forget a flaw in our design, or is it a hidden blessing that allows us to heal, to forgive, and to move forward? I'm not sure I know the answer yet, but I am incredibly curious to explore the possibilities with you. Let's see what we can discover. To understand a world with perfect memory, we first need to look at how our memory works right now. It isn't like a video camera that records everything with perfect accuracy. Instead, our brain is more like an artist, painting a picture of our experiences. It captures the important details, the strong emotions, and the general outline of what happened. But over time, the paint can fade, the colors can blend, and some parts of the picture might get smudged or even painted over entirely. This process is complex, involving different parts of our brain working together. When we experience something new, our brain creates connections between neurons. This is called encoding. Think of it as saving a new file on a computer. Then, the brain needs to store this information, which can be for a few seconds in our short-term memory, or for a lifetime in our long-term memory. The final step is retrieval, which is when we try to access that stored information. This is the moment we try to remember a fact for a test, or recall a happy childhood memory. Sometimes retrieval is easy, but often it can be a real challenge. So, why do we forget? Forgetting isn't just a failure of the system, it's actually a feature. Our brains are constantly being flooded with information, and they need a way to filter out what isn't important. This helps us focus on what matters most. Sometimes memories just fade away over time if we don't access them. A bit like an old path in a forest that becomes overgrown from lack of use. Other times, new memories can interfere with old ones, making it harder to recall the original information. This process of forgetting helps keep our minds from becoming too cluttered. Forgetting is also deeply connected to our emotions and our ability to cope with life. It allows the sharp edges of painful experiences to soften over time. A difficult breakup or a personal failure might feel overwhelming at first, but as months and years pass, the memory often loses its emotional power. This selective forgetting is a kind of mental housekeeping. It helps us heal from trauma, forgive others, and let go of past mistakes. It is this imperfection that allows us to grow and change, rather than being trapped by every single moment of our past. Now let's step into our imagined world, a world where everyone is born with a perfect, indelible memory. From the moment you open your eyes, every sight, sound, and sensation is recorded in your mind with flawless detail. You would remember the exact pattern on the ceiling above your crib, the precise words of your first storybook, and the taste of every meal you've ever eaten. Nothing would ever fade. Nothing would ever be lost. Life would become a continuous, unbroken timeline of experiences, accessible at any moment. Imagine your daily life. You would wake up knowing exactly what you dreamt about, in vivid detail. You would never need a shopping list because you could perfectly recall every item in your cupboards. Finding your keys or your phone would be a thing of the past. You would simply remember the exact place you set them down. Every book you read, every film you watched, every piece of music you heard would be yours to enjoy again and again, exactly as it was the first time. The world would feel incredibly rich and detailed. This perfect recall would transform our society. The entire concept of evidence and testimony in a courtroom would change. Eyewitness accounts would be completely reliable. History would no longer be a matter of interpretation based on fragmented records. It would be a collection of perfect individual memories. Education would be revolutionized. Students could learn languages, complex scientific formulas, or entire encyclopedias with ease. The very foundation of how we share and verify knowledge would be rebuilt from the ground up. However, this world of perfect memory would also have a different feel, a different emotional texture. Every mistake you ever made would be as clear in your mind as it was the day it happened. Every unkind word ever spoken to you would echo with its original sting. The world would be a place of absolute clarity, but also of absolute permanence. There would be no hazy, half-forgotten past to soften the blows of life. We would all be walking archives of our own lives, carrying the full weight of every single moment, good and bad. Let's first explore the wonderful things that a perfect memory could bring. The benefits in education and professional life would be truly staggering. Imagine being a student and only needing to read a textbook once to know it by heart. You could absorb complex subjects like quantum physics or organic chemistry with incredible speed. Preparing for exams would be a simple act of recalling information, not of struggling to cram it into your head. Learning a new language would take a fraction of the time it does now. We could all become experts in multiple fields, leading to an explosion of innovation and discovery. At work, this ability would make everyone exceptionally competent. A doctor could recall every medical journal they have ever read, making diagnoses faster and more accurate. An engineer could remember the exact specifications of every component in a complex machine, preventing errors and improving safety. A lawyer could cite any precedent or law from memory, building flawless arguments. Productivity would soar, and the quality of our work would reach new heights. There would be no more forgotten appointments, missed deadlines, or misplaced files. Our professional lives would be incredibly efficient. Even at home, the small frustrations of daily life would disappear. You would never forget a birthday or an anniversary. You could perfectly recreate a delicious recipe you tried years ago. You would remember the name of every person you meet at a party, making social interactions smoother and more pleasant. Think of the joy of being able to perfectly recall a happy memory, a wedding day, a child's first steps, a beautiful sunset on holiday. You could relive those precious moments with all the original sights, sounds, and feelings whenever you wished. This perfect recall could also foster a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world. We could trace our own patterns of behavior over our entire lives, learning from our past with unerring accuracy. We could see how one event led to another, gaining a profound sense of our own life story. In a way, it would be like having a perfect personal diary that we could consult at any time. This could lead to greater self-awareness and personal growth. The potential for positive change is immense when you can learn perfectly from every single experience. But every light casts a shadow. For all its benefits, a perfect memory would come with a very heavy burden. Life is not always filled with joy and success. It is also filled with pain, embarrassment, and loss. Imagine being unable to forget the sting of a cruel insult, the shame of a public failure, or the searing grief of losing a loved one. These memories would not fade or soften over time. They would remain as vivid and painful as the day they happened. You would be forced to relive your worst moments with the same intensity, over and over again. Consider the impact on our mental health. Traumatic events, such as accidents or acts of violence, would be inescapable. Sufferers of post-traumatic stress would have no respite, as the horrifying memories would play on a loop in their minds with perfect clarity. Every argument with a friend or family member would be perfectly preserved, with every harsh word and angry expression etched into your memory. The accumulation of these negative experiences could become overwhelming, leading to widespread anxiety, depression, and an inability to move on from past hurts. The pressure to be perfect would also be immense. With a flawless memory, There would be no excuse for making the same mistake twice. Every error in judgment, every social misstep would be recorded in your own mind, and potentially in the minds of everyone who witnessed it. This could create a culture of fear and risk aversion, where people are afraid to try new things for fear of a failure that will never be forgotten. The freedom to be messy, to make mistakes, and to learn through trial and error, a crucial part of being human, might be lost. Furthermore, the sheer volume of information could be paralyzing. Our brains currently filter out a huge amount of sensory input so we can focus. With a perfect memory, every single detail of every single day would be stored. The hum of the refrigerator, the pattern of the carpet, the idle chatter of people passing on the street, all of it would be retained. This constant flood of information could make it difficult to think clearly, to be creative, or simply to find a moment of mental peace. Our minds might become so cluttered with the trivial details of the past that we struggle to engage with the present. Relationships are built on a delicate balance of remembering and forgetting. A perfect memory would, honestly, completely upend this balance. On one hand, you would never forget the good times. You could recall the exact moment you fell in love, the sound of your partner's laughter, and every kind gesture they ever made. These shared, perfect memories could form an incredibly strong bond between people. You could reminisce about your life together with perfect accuracy, creating a rich and detailed shared history that would be a constant source of comfort and joy. However, the inability to forget would be devastating for forgiveness. Every argument, every broken promise, and every hurtful word would be remembered by both people with perfect clarity. Imagine having a fight with your partner. Years later, either of you could bring up the exact words spoken, the precise tone of voice, and the pained expression on the other's face. True forgiveness might become impossible when the wound can be recalled so vividly. Relationships could become a long and bitter tally of grievances, where every past mistake is always present. This would change the very nature of trust. How could you trust someone to change if you can perfectly remember every single time they let you down in the past? We often give people second chances because our memory of their past failures softens over time. We choose to believe in their capacity for growth. With a perfect memory, the evidence of their past behavior would be irrefutable and permanent. This could make us less compassionate and more judgmental, holding people accountable for a past they can never escape. Friendships, family bonds, and romantic partnerships could become incredibly fragile. The small, everyday annoyances that we currently overlook and forget would accumulate. The white lie your friend told, the time your sibling was selfish, the promise your partner forgot, all would be recorded. Over a lifetime, this collection of minor transgressions could erode even the strongest connections. The grace of forgetting, which allows us to smooth over the rough patches in our relationships, would be gone. We might find ourselves lonelier in a world where no one can ever truly let anything go. Comparing a life with perfect memory to our current reality, it really highlights just how much our imperfection shapes us. Our normal, flawed memory is selective and adaptive. It's a dynamic system that constantly revises our personal story. It helps us build a coherent sense of self by emphasizing memories that fit our self-image and downplaying those that do not. We remember the times we were brave or kind more clearly than the times we were not. This isn't dishonest. It's a coping mechanism that helps us maintain our self-esteem and our motivation to be better. A perfect memory, in contrast, would be brutally objective. It would present us with the unedited footage of our lives, showing our triumphs and our failures with equal unforgiving clarity. There would be no room for reinterpretation, no gentle fading of embarrassing moments. We would be confronted with every contradiction in our character, every broken resolution, every moment of weakness. This could lead to a more honest understanding of ourselves, but it could also lead to a state of constant self-criticism and regret. Our sense of self might become fragmented and unstable. Think about creativity and imagination. Our imperfect memories are a fertile ground for new ideas. When we misremember something or when different memories blend together, we can create something entirely new. Stories, art, and music often spring from these happy accidents of the mind. A perfect memory might stifle this creative process. If everything is recalled with precise, factual accuracy, there is less space for the mind to wander, to make novel connections, and to imagine things differently. Creativity thrives on ambiguity and imperfection. Ultimately, our imperfect memory allows for personal growth in a way that perfect memory might not. The ability to forget our past mistakes gives us the freedom to reinvent ourselves. We can decide to be a different person tomorrow than we were yesterday. We believe in change because we don't carry the full, crushing weight of our entire past with us at all times. A perfect memory would chain us to who we once were, making it much harder to believe that we or others can truly change. The past would not just be a part of us, it would define us completely. So, after exploring this world of total recall, I find myself asking the question, would it truly be a gift? When I began this thought experiment, the idea of a perfect memory seemed incredibly appealing. As someone who loves learning, the thought of absorbing books and knowledge effortlessly is a dream. And as an actor, the ability to memorize lines instantly would certainly make my job easier. I imagined all the little frustrations it would solve, and all the beautiful moments I could preserve forever. It felt like a superpower I would gladly accept. However, the more I think about it, the more I believe it would be a curse disguised as a gift. The price of remembering every good moment is to also remember every bad one with the same intensity. I think about the times I've been hurt or have made mistakes I regret. The process of healing for me has always involved those memories softening and losing their power over time. The ability to forget, to let go, has been essential for my own mental well-being and personal growth. To lose that ability feels like it would be losing a fundamental part of what makes me human. I believe our relationships would suffer the most. I value the forgiveness and understanding I share with my friends and family. This is only possible because we don't keep a perfect record of every mistake. We give each other the space to be imperfect. We choose to focus on the good and let the small hurts fade away. A world where every argument is perfectly remembered sounds like a world without compassion. A world where relationships would crumble under the weight of an unforgiving past. For me, connection with others is one of the most important things in life, and I fear a perfect memory would poison it. In the end, I would have to politely decline this superpower. While the intellectual benefits are tempting, the emotional cost seems far too high. Life is messy and complicated, and our minds have evolved a beautiful, if imperfect, way of helping us navigate it. Forgetting is not a flaw. It is a vital and compassionate tool that our brain uses to protect us, to allow us to heal, and to give us the chance to start anew. It allows us to build a story of our lives that we can live with, one that gives us hope for the future. As we conclude this journey, I am left with a newfound appreciation for the minds we have. Our memories are not perfect, and I now see that as one of their greatest strengths. They are not cold, hard drives that store data. They are living, breathing storytellers. They weave the threads of our experiences into a tapestry that is uniquely our own. Some threads are bright and bold, representing our happiest moments. Others are darker and more subdued, but they add depth and contrast to the overall picture. And some threads are allowed to fray and fade, making room for new ones to be woven in. This imperfection is what allows for grace. It gives us the capacity to forgive others, not because we have forgotten what they did, but because the memory no longer holds the same sharp, painful edge. It allows us to forgive ourselves, to learn from our mistakes without being haunted by them forever. This ability to let go, to move forward, is perhaps one of the most important human traits. It is the engine of resilience, the thing that allows us to get up after we fall and try again. It is what makes redemption and personal change possible. Our flawed memories also connect us. When we share a memory with someone, our versions are often slightly different. We debate the details, we laugh at our different recollections, and in doing so, we create a shared story together. This act of collective remembering is a powerful bonding experience. And when someone is grieving, we don't tell them to remember the pain perfectly. We sit with them and allow their memories to soften, to transform from a source of agony into a source of gentle remembrance. Our imperfection fosters empathy and connection. So, while a world of perfect memory is a fascinating idea to explore, I am grateful to live in this one. I am grateful for a mind that knows how to protect itself, that prioritizes healing over perfect accuracy. I am grateful for the ability to forget the small slights and to let the pain of the past recede. There is a profound beauty in our imperfection. It is what makes us adaptable, resilient, and compassionate. It is, I believe, what makes us truly human. Our memories may not be perfect, but they are perfectly suited for the complex, messy, and beautiful journey of life.